Well, hello, everybody. Happy end of the off season. Welcome on into the first Frontstretch media production of the year, podcast or video or otherwise. I am your host, Adam Cheek. I am also the host of Stock Car Scoop every single week, recapping what went down on Sunday or whenever the race may be. And joining me is Jack Swansey, the co-host of the Pit Straight. Jack, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to getting some 2024 racing underway. And I just want to start off with my hot take of the evening, which is that
Okay.
NASCAR Full Speed is better than Drive to Survive.
Well, we are talking about NASCAR Full Speed. I want to get into what you think about that or how that hot take came to be. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about with this docuseries. It came out on Tuesday. It's been a couple of days since it came out. We blew through it over the last couple of evenings. And we've got a ton of stuff that we want to get into about it, whether it's the focus on the drivers or their personal lives or the balance of the episodes, anything like that. Quick shout out that a bunch of us cameoed in it from the playoff races. You can see my back in a shot of the garage at Bristol. Michael Massey, Brian Nolan, Jared Haas as well, all cameoing in episodes, which is neat to see. So keep an eye out for us. But yeah, so I want to get into that first. Your hot take, Jack, that it is better than Drive to Survive. How did that come to be? How did you make that decision?
Well, I think the main thing that always bugged me about Drive to Survive is the way that it cuts the season together. And I think with the NASCAR version of Drive to Survive, that focus on the playoffs and the much more sort of linear progression from the rounds building up to the championship race in Phoenix, the story is much clearer. And that singular focus on the championship rather than, the fates of the different teams, the way that they have done in Drive to Survive, I think is just much more effective at communicating what's going on and why someone should care about it. And I also thought that it's generally something that I appreciate about NASCAR and about the sort of American approach to motorsports in general is the just sort of more surface level emotionality of it. Like you could see in his eyes, Ryan Blaney tearing up after he won Martinsville. And then again,
Right.
Phoenix, when you had Bubba Wallace coming up to him in victory lane, hugging him and saying, "I love you, man." Like that wouldn't happen in Drive to Survive. It does happen in NASCAR, and it does happen in NASCAR Full Speed. And I mean, really just sort of building to that final montage that the last episode ends with after Phoenix, after the season is over, and just sort of the highs and lows for all the drivers. And everyone really wears their heart on their sleeve. Booty Barker, Bubba Wallace, crew chief, real standout. I think he's the Gunter of it. He's the Gunter Steiner of it. Really fantastic. Really brings something fantastic to this show. And so, I mean, I liked it. I liked it more. What can I say? And this coming from the F1 guy.
Well, I liked it a lot too, and I think it does a really good job of explaining, the process of how they get to the playoffs and how the rounds unfold for those who might not be as familiar with. I think it'd be good for somebody who's only tangentially aware of NASCAR's existence. I think it'd be a solid docuseries for them to watch. And I thought it did a good job explaining the stuff they might not know, whether it's like the effect of the tires or Christopher Bell talking about the brake rotor stuff that happened at Phoenix. So let's talk about that for a second, because Christopher Bell is a guy, they say he's not in the plan. He wasn't in the plan at the start of the docuseries. They eventually rope him in. It focuses on Denny Hamlin to start off with 2311 Racing as a whole, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano a little bit, a couple of these other guys. But like watching it, you'd think Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Michael McDowell, Martin Truex Jr. just did not exist, period. Kevin Harvick eliminated Bristol in his final year, really not even talked about. So what did you think of how much it focused on these guys? Because I think if they do it again next year, you expand the episodes 8 to 10, and you focus on, maybe not dead on focus on all the drivers, but give each one a little bit of airtime. I think you'd have a way more cohesive series.
Well, I definitely would like more episodes. I think when they had to sort of split it unevenly between the 3 races in each round, there was definitely something lost, and a little bit of the sort of rise and fall of each driver's championship hopes was definitely lost by having to compress it down to 5 episodes. I think starting with Denny Hamlin was a really, really good idea. Not just because he's kind of one of the bigger names remaining in NASCAR, as sort of all of the guys that we grew up watching have retired, but the fact that he is a driver and an owner is a really good entry point for people unfamiliar with how NASCAR teams work and the way that they function as a part of the sport.
Right.
I think that was a really, really good entry point with Denny Hamlin and with sort of competing in the 11 car and also owning the 23 and the 45. But I will say one thing that I sort of flagged early on was I think the second episode opens with, or has very much toward the beginning, Joey Logano. And I think persona-wise, they're very similar, both as sort of the aggressive drivers, kind of win at all costs, showy, a little bit cocky, but they can back it up. And of course, NASCAR journalists, longtime NASCAR fans can tell the difference between Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano, but someone who's brand new to the sport, those opening beats might seem a little bit repetitive.
Well, and you mentioned Denny, and I think the focus on him was really good because you get the driver's side, obviously, you get the business side. He's part of Michael Jordan. Everybody knows who Michael Jordan is. And also the fact that you see moments of him and his kids, and you see Ryan Blaney and Gianna off the track, William Byron and Aaron. William Byron's building Legos, and she's just watching him build Legos. But I thought the personal side of things was really awesome to see, and I'm sure, with Drive to Survive, it kind of does that as well. And a lot of documentaries do it. But the fact that these aren't just guys who are going out there and, to put it generically, they're making left turns every single weekend. No, these are guys who, work constantly throughout the week to better themselves, and they're balancing a family, they're balancing their career. In Denny's case, he's balancing business and his personal life and his racing life, which I thought was a really good element to bring into the fold for sure.
Yeah, and especially for some of the younger guys, like the moment you had that you mentioned where William Byron plays with Legos, Christopher Bell sort of having that reaction to, well, you weren't in the plan, getting to see Ryan Blaney and Gianna, I think sort of there, especially as you get closer to Blaney winning the championship, they sort of become the core of the series.
Right.
The chance for those younger guys who haven't really had that like superstar persona that Denny Hamlin has had so long to develop, to really get to see who they are front and center was really cool. And I think something that NASCAR certainly needs to do to make these younger drivers who are competitive, who are really now becoming competitive and fighting for the championship every year, to turn them into those household names that we have lost as the older drivers have retired.
Well, yeah, and I think I think there was some stuff like they could have done a better job balancing the races out. I think the first race of the final round, maybe, or something like that, they only spend 5, 6, 7 minutes on max in that fourth episode. Martinsville obviously takes some more because it's the penultimate race, but still, it's a very short amount of time for a race that was so critical in some aspects to the championship for the makeup and the comprehension of who ended up going to Phoenix. I'm just wondering what you thought as a whole about, will this bring people into NASCAR, whether it's the balance of the series or how it's structured, anything like that? Do you think it'll bring in new viewers? And if so, or if not, why?
Well, I started with a hot take and I'm going to finish with one too. I don't think it will, at least not sort of on a measurable scale the way that Drive to Survive did for F1. Mainly for the reason that Drive to Survive already did it for F1, and lightning is not going to strike twice. I mean, you see a bunch of sports have done their own sort of versions of Drive to Survive. MotoGP did one with Amazon. I think there have been ones for golf and for tennis. And it already happened. The Drive to Survive phenomenon has already happened. And yet, I think when NASCAR Full Speed comes up on autoplay after someone finishes the new season of Drive to Survive, it's good enough to get them to stick around. But I think, honestly, I think a more interesting gambit to attract new fans that NASCAR's pulled this week is letting people come see the Clash on Saturday for free.
Right.
And it's going to be one of those outside the box things that draws those new eyes and gets people excited, gets non-fans excited to become NASCAR fans rather than just basically copying everyone else's homework, even if it's better.
Well, you talking about outside the box last year, like the Clash thing has done a lot for that. Danny Trejo was there. Michael Massey interviewed him. Kurt Russell, I think, was in like one of the suites, which is cool to see all these people coming out to the Clash. And the Mexico series is there for this year's Clash, which is awesome. So you keep, just diversifying stuff and bringing in new things into the fold. And boom, here's a Netflix series. Here's a docuseries about the playoffs last year, which was one of the more unpredictable years we've had, at least in terms of, Michael McDowell's in the playoffs, Stenhouse is in the playoffs, Blaney wins the title. Who saw that coming when the round of 16 started? So I think they did a really good job of all of that. And I'm hoping it brings more people in. Obviously it was like top 5, I think, on Netflix in the past day or so, or like this morning. So 2 days in. So that's great to see. But we'll have to see what happens. I think we enjoyed it for sure. But Jack, thanks so much for joining me, man. Appreciate it. You can follow myself on Twitter at AdamandCheek. Jack, where can people follow you and see all your stuff as the season gets underway?
You can follow me at Jack Swansey on the website formerly known as Twitter.
That's true. It's X now. It's Twitter. It's the same thing. But thanks everybody for watching. Engines are about to fire for the season. Just a couple of days. Excited for it, and can't wait to see what we got for you guys in the future.
This is Austin Dillon, driver of the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also check out one of those 2 videos beside me. Visit frontstretch.com for more racing content.